Vader. 45 grand for 2.5.
You gotta brush a lot.
Is it zoned?
It says the perfect place for your dream home. So, you'd have to do a lot of due diligence on it. But.
Yeah. Dude, I would love to live in Vader. That's so cool. Yeah, that's south, right? Towards the Oregon border.
It's south. It says it's 20 minutes from that stop we made at the Kelso Mall.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
It's north of that.
Neat. Yo. Nito burrito potito.
So I think probably around that corridor could probably be some good stuff.
Dun 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 dun. People be like, "Where do you live?" I'll be like, "Dun dun 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 dun." Giving you another shot, I guess. Yeah. Well, we ran our errands for the day. People were shitty earlier. Dun, 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 dun. Good evening and good afternoon. I'm gonna go get my weed. I'm gonna go grab.
You always forget what you want out here.
Oh, I'm just a mess, man. I can't. I got a little stream going out here, Daddy. Just so you know. Okay. Promise, no third rails. In fact, I'll go back and I'll rename the stream. No third rail. First and second rail only, okay? Because I don't have the patience for the third rail today. Oh. Is that better?
Yes.
On your poor, sensitive butt. Dad had a very sensitive butt. We needed to get some decent chairs finally, like grown-ups out here.
Yeah, because like from what I was reading about augurs, you gotta do it a couple times to get it.
I'll try it again.
Yeah.
I now know better what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah.
And I'll try it again. I'm never auged. Okay? I'm a first-time augur, okay? Got some depressing news today. I appreciate the tone of your lives, so I have come here to relax. Good. That's what we're here to do, too. To relax. Have a little vicarious relaxation. Pine trees in the back remind me of the forest I grew up in as a child. You grew up in a forest? Are you Mowgli? Are you Mowgli? Nice. Are you Tarzan? I am not gay, said the gay guy. Come on, buddy. Methinks the lady doth protest too much. It's one of my favorite Shakespeare lines. Right along with "Get thee to a nunnery, woman." I like that one too. I find uses for those. Smoking illegal? No, smoking legal, bud. Yeah, I don't break the law ever. Okay, I'm a law-abiding citizen of the United States of America. Oh no. I grabbed the wrong cones. Damn you. Pardon me, sir. Pardon me. Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Here's a good tutorial on how to do it.
How to aug?
Yep.
Oh man. Was
Maybe
I?
before the next time.
All right, I'll watch it.
Not right now, but when you're done with this.
I'll watch it. Okay, I'll watch it. Oh man, I have to try and figure it out.
Yeah. We'll do it. We'll watch it later.
I can't immediately go to the granny mode of looking up a YouTube tutorial. Okay, I gotta try and man mode it.
Are you out of papers, or you just wanted to grab those?
Huh?
Are you out of papers, or did you just want to...
No, I realized I had a couple, and I wanted some edibles, so
Okay.
we're good. We are good. Can you go fishing? I don't have a fishing pole. Or hip waders, or bait, or flies, or tackle, or anything.
You could always use a stick. Just go by the river.
You know what I could do? Dip my wick off in the stream.
Yeah.
Wiggle it a little bit. Get a big... What? What? And that's probably how they fish before fishing
Augur
pole.
would catch a fish.
Maybe, yeah, if we dangled a worm off of it and wiggled it around down there. August a fish.
Your Uncle Sid's known to troll that way.
Yeah.
What, dipping his wick in the river?
Yeah. Never 100 fish, I think, would bite.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. He who casts no bait catches no fish. You ever prepare to eat a fish that you personally caught? Probably. I don't think I've prepared it, but I know I've probably eaten a fish that I've caught before. It's been a long time, though. How old is that hair? I haven't had a haircut since 2016. 17. So a while. I eat them raw. Gross. Just putting your ear to the ground so you can hear the buffalo, brother. I don't think that's true. That isn't true. You can't hear the buffaloes if you listen to the ground. That's an old wives' tale, like the rope snake. You do not need a rope. A snake will not bother you. You are too skinny and scrawny. I was talking with a buddy about what the last generational anthem in music was. Is Teen Spirit the last one? No, man, there's one every generation. We just don't pay attention to the ones that come after our generation usually because we don't like it. Because we go, yeah, that's kid music. Tripped on shrooms yesterday and didn't have a good time. I think I wasn't ready. That is a consideration. You do want to be ready. If I had to choose a generational anthem, it's probably They Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. Probably. It's probably the most... Think about it. There's more buzz around that song than any song, I think, since Old Town Road. That was another big one. So pick your poison. Old Town Road or They Not Like Us. Either way, you're getting a rap song. Because that's just the truth. Hip-hop, rap, and R&B have supplanted rock music as the most popular genre. And hip-hop, rap, and R&B are an amalgamation of a lot of different popular genres. A little bit of country western, a little bit of blues, a little bit of rock and roll. You look like you listen to country. I don't shy away from country, but I'm not a big country western listener. I like some older country stuff. Garth Brooks and Hank Williams Jr. and Hank III. I like all the Hanks. Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings. I like the Highwaymen. You ever heard that? I was a highwayman. Along the coach roads I did ride. With sword and pistol by my side. It's about ghosts, basically. They buried me in that great tomb that knows no sound, but I am still around. Chris Christopherson was the other highwayman, you're right. I was a sailor, boop boop, I was born upon the tide. He did the I Was a Sailor. Let's see if I can pick who did what. I was a highwayman. That's Willie. Then it was, I was a dam builder. That's Johnny. And then there was, I was a sailor. And that was Chris Christopherson. And then there was, I was a soldier. And that's Waylon Jennings. Snip snap. Put me on Jeopardy. I was a podcaster, on my ass so fat and wide. With the salt I did abide. Please quit smoking. No. Please quit bitching. Don't be a Karen. Don't do it. My dad hates Karens, so he'll go off on you. I'll tell my dad on you if you keep it up. The poltergeist is a name that goes so hard. Cool. I'm glad you like it, bud. I'll gift $100 if you put an egg in a microwave for 1 minute. No, you won't. You're a liar. I tell you what, put up the $100. Money up front, cash on the barrelhead, and I'll do it. You ain't getting me, man. I ain't no goof, okay? I've been around the block. I get paid up front, okay? I'm a pro. I wait until the invoice clears, and then I go do the retarded, degrading, self-debasing thing, okay? You know I've flushed them down the toilet before, Dad?
Flushed what down the
Them. Them. The ones watching. Them. I put my phone in a Ziploc, put them in the toilet like the turds they are, and flush it. It's happened to them 3 times.
On purpose.
On purpose. Because if they're being shitty, what do you do? What do you do with shit?
Aug it.
You aug it, yeah. You aug it. Donated $100 USD. You think I'm silly, bro? I know what it looks like when somebody donates. You can't just type donated money. I'm not that dumb, dude. I live in an apartment with 9 other tenants. The landlord doesn't fix the doorbells. I bought a wireless doorbell for myself. Now every delivery driver rings me for the whole building. Take the doorbell down. Man, it's woke begotten out there today. There really is not much intelligence to be found. There really is not, man. All I need is 1 or 2, but it's just like, whew, garbage. Summertime already? Maybe so. Maybe the kids are out.
Sounds like a bunch of fish. Need a goat.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I mean, what? Like, how do you deal with a moron that's talking some shit and you don't want to hear it? Like, let's say you're standing out in public somewhere, and an idiot drunkenly stumbles up to you and says, "Hey, buddy, you want to talk about blah, blah, blah," and just starts talking bull. What do you say to him? Like, how would you handle that socially?
Well, in a polite society, you would kind of tolerate it and excuse yourself and leave.
But what if they won't leave? What if you go like...
You leave him.
Okay, well, what if...
He follows him.
Yeah, he comes on down the road with you. You turn around and tell him you're going to slap his chops if he keeps it up, or what? Okay, well, what point does it get to?
I don't know. If
Yeah.
he starts humping your leg, then yeah.
You feel like you're...
Time to slap him around a little bit. Head for a bathroom, go in the stall, and you can see if his feet are standing right outside.
What if, man, that'd be creepy if you went in there and you thought he left, and then all of a sudden his head comes under the door. Like, you still in there, buddy? Yeah. I don't get mouthy too easily in public because I know how, escalating is a thing. You know what I mean? To me, if somebody told me go fuck yourself, I'll probably go fuck myself. You know what I mean? I'll just go. It's fine. That's not a fighting word to me, but you never know who you're talking to, man. Some people are willing to go to prison over a word. So you got to be careful. Straight to prison. And they'll be happy to serve the term, too. They'll brag about it when they're in there. Somebody told me go fuck myself, so I slapped him so hard he got knocked out and hit his head. I'm doing a 15-year attempted manslaughter bid. Happier than a pig in shit. I know a person who was murdered over a parking space. That's insane. You know, people get so worked up. Polite society ain't so polite anymore. There are people out there that have just fed up with it and are looking for a reason to have a problem. I think a lot of people, maybe that's where they feel like they've got a little influence and power. Maybe they feel dogged on in every other aspect of their life. They get out in public, they feel slighted, and that's, hey, they're going to stick up for themselves in some way. Can't tell your boss to go fuck himself. Can't tell your wife, usually. So you take it out on poor Joe Schmo.
He's like the sheriff in the movie Billy Bob Thornton.
You want to dance with the girls? Dance with the girls. You want to drink? You drink. But if you fancy yourself a pistolier, you're going to run into trouble. Because there's only one killer in Fort Worth, and that's me. I tell my dog, fuck you, and he forgave me every damn time. That's dogs.
Good dog.
That's dogs. Dogs don't, they're non-judgmental. You really gotta go out of your way to abuse a dog to make it hate you. I used to work with those types of dogs on and off at ARF because I was a bigger dude. And some of those dogs were abused by bigger guys. So you have to acclimate them to a nice person. Because some of them, they just see a man and they go either pitiful or aggressive. It's just like, you see how dogs are. Imagine how much horrible things you have to do to a dog to make it hateful. Just sucks. I was a shitty alcoholic. Then I went to rehab with a bunch of ex-prisoners and got a prison education. Oh.
What about Bubba?
Yeah. Hopefully you weren't thoroughly educated, if you know what I mean. It stopped short of a thorough education, correct?
Proctology.
Read my other post. What other post? I'm not doing it, dude.
Is that vile? You
I can't do it. Got my pit bull from an abusive home, but she still loves everyone. Yeah, I mean, some dogs you just can't break their spirit or whatever, but yeah, this is what life's all about to me right here. It's a little less road noise and a little less neighbor noise. A little more bird noise. I'd be pretty happy. What was the longest stretch of time you lived without a pet? Dad, you didn't have a pet for a good little chunk of time.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, so right in there probably. But, you know, I was back and forth to my mom's house. She always had pets, so I guess I don't count. For me, it was probably Arizona. I was there 2 years and never had a pet. And then it wasn't long after being back from there. I guess another couple years before I got Boogie. So about 4 years, I guess. About as long as I've gone without having a family pet around. Any good star watching where I am? You probably have to go up in the mountains a little bit and get above the cloud cover. Maybe get inland a little. I'm kind of near the coast, so we get a lot of cloud cover. But if you got up above the city light pollution and stuff, and found you a good clear night, I bet it's beautiful. I bet you can get some beautiful stargazing in. But here, you know, because we're so far underneath the canopy of this forest, there really ain't. I saw an old telescope at the thrift store for 20 bucks. And I looked in it, and it had a lens in it and everything. Looked a little cloudy, like probably a little scratchy or something. But I was like, maybe I'll get that, put it out on the back porch. And I was like, and look at what? Like a tree branch. I don't think I could get a piece of sky.
Spy on the neighbors.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good point. What was that movie? You remember? There's a movie.
The guy witnesses a murder across the way.
Well, there's that. Yeah, that's Rear Window. He's nosy because he's bored and hobbled up in his house, so he starts watching. There was Disturbia. It's kind of like a Rear Window, but in the 90s, where the kid was homesick and some new neighbors move in, and he sees something and nobody believes him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I haven't been to a real good spot where I could stargaze, and I don't know how long, man. The Central Valley, you just can't even see it anymore. It used to be in the summer, if you were kind of out away from the city a little bit, you can lay on your back and see a little bit of the Milky Way, and if you got your eyes used to it, you could even see satellites and stuff, you know. But nowadays it's so nasty, smoky, smoggy there. Good luck seeing the night sky, and getting up in the mountains is about your best bet anywhere. I bet if you went out in the middle of Death Valley or something in the middle of the night, you'd probably get some good stargazing. I think getting out away from the light pollution is the hardest part. You ever seen the aurora, Daddy?
Pictures.
Have you ever wanted to see it?
I think it'd be cool to see, yeah.
I want to see
Well, it
it.
gets in the States. It's mostly Canada and North, right?
Yeah. Alaska, you can see it in the northern parts of Alaska, and I think Juneau even gets it from time to time. It's far enough north where they get it. But if you really want to guaranteed see it, you almost got to go like to the Yukon. You got to be out on a ship. There's cruises that go up the whole Alaskan coast, right? And you could probably see it off of that pretty good. That's on my bucket list, man. I want to see them live because I've seen the videos. I've seen pictures of them. They look so beautiful. I can't imagine looking up at the night sky and seeing that shit. It's got to be wild. Have you ever seen a tornado up close?
Seen the results.
But never seen one while it's doing its thing?
Came through Missouri and it was ripped up. But no, never had to be in the middle of one. Seeing the results makes me not want to live in that part of the country.
Would you ever storm chase? You know, where they do them tours during...
That'd be awesome, though, wouldn't it?
It'd be kind of kick-ass. You'd get hit by one, huh?
Wouldn't turn out well.
And they're usually pretty safe about it. They know how close they can get, and the people that do it, they know the area, so they know what roads they can take and fields they can cut through and all that shit. I think it'd be fun to do. You got to skydive. I'm jealous of that because I'm too fat. They won't let me tandem jump unless I'm under 300 pounds. I think you got to be 280 or 270 or something to tandem jump.
I never did.
You did.
Your mom did.
You did. You didn't do it?
Mm-hmm. Your mom did.
I thought you did
we all
it.
went out there and watched her.
Oh. Okay.
I was the guy on the ground with his fingers crossed, hoping
that she'd crater.
I don't think it was. I probably still loved her then, so yeah.
I thought you did, but Mom did.
Yeah.
I remembered Mom did too. I thought both of you had.
No, it's just her.
Oh, Steve did. Steve did. Later.
My replacement.
Yeah. Yeah. Step.
I mean, that really hurts.
Step Padre.
Your memories are getting commingled.
They're blending. Yeah. Sorry about that, Pops. But I honestly thought all three of you had done it. So I don't think I was getting you mixed up. I thought it's just one of them things. I thought all three of you had done right out of that Madeira airport there, you know, where they do the things. But that's where Mom did it, and I think that's where Steve did it. You wouldn't. You're not the type.
Not at 70, no.
What about back then?
Back then,
You could have done it. Why didn't you do
I
it?
was like, had too many responsibilities.
You were a square. You were a square. Is that it?
A
Two-
bit,
two-
yeah, I was pretty uptight.
Yeah. You get a video and you can put whatever music you want. China Grove. Burn out. Burn out. They look terrified, flying around.
I don't know. I didn't want some guy strapped to me from behind, flying through the air. Not cool.
What if you get a hot chick, though? What do you get, a babe?
Now, see, but there was no offer of that.
There might have been. You didn't ask around. Is there a babe instructor that you can strap to me?
Then I would want to be in the back, of course.
Well, you got to get your tandem license then. Then you get to strap the babes up, see? I don't know. I don't think I'll ever do it either. I think I could probably get in the shape to do it, but I just, at this age, I don't know. I'm afraid I'd break my knees or something landing. Sometimes a guy has to be the little spoon. Yeah, sometimes I gotta be honest, being the little spoon is nice. It is. You gotta be the little spoon every once in a while. You can't always be the big spoon.
I'm the fork, baby.
You're the fork. I'm a spork.
One prong bent.
I'm a little of both. I'm a spork.
A spork?
I like a scoop and I like a stab. You know what I mean? Hey, being a skinny myself, little spooning is supreme after a hard day. Oh, yeah, dude. Amelia will spoon me sometimes. I ain't afraid to say it. She'll grab me right up, spoon me up. I like being a little spoon. A little spoon all day long. I'll take a little spooning from pretty much anybody. Platonic little spooning, give it to me. Just don't try and poke me. Little spoon only. Clothes only.
No fork?
Yeah, no sporking. Can't get down with skydiving, but seeing Earth from space, though, that's worth it. I think that'd be neat to take one of them jets that goes up into the stratosphere and you can see the curve of the Earth. You're not really in space, but you're also not really on Earth anymore. Kind of like in that zone between. And then they'll do these big arcs where at the apex of it you're weightless. So you get that little experience. I think that'd be fun. What's the most badass coaster you ever rode? We rode some kick-ass ones when we were young.
Yeah. The Big Dipper is still a pretty good one at Santa Cruz.
That one, I like the way it starts. For a wood coaster, the way it goes to that dark tunnel, and then they got lights in there. It's neat.
I think the fact that it's wooden makes it a little more scary. Certainly noisier.
Yeah, you're like me, because a lot of people, like TJ, won't go on any roller coaster goes upside down. To me, that's upside down is pretty tame. A flip is pretty tame in comparison to being on a wooden coaster going off a big drop. The way those things rattle too, it just feels like it's coming off the tracks any second. Yeah, scarier overall. The Big Dipper's pretty big. That's the one. Is the Big Dipper in Santa Cruz? Or am I thinking of a different one? Or are you thinking
The wooden roller coasters in Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz?
I can't think of what they call it.
I think that is. Well, it's the Giant Dipper.
Giant Dipper.
The Giant Dipper, and then the one over at Six Flags, the big wooden one is Colossus. That's a pretty badass one too. I have to say though, pound for pound, man, there at Six Flags, the most craziest coaster I ever did, called Tatsu. And it's a Superman coaster, meaning like you get in it standing up and then it rotates you forward. So you're looking straight down at the ground, flying like Superman. And it does an inverted backflip where you're going up like that. And it was so tight and fast that it crushes the air out of your lungs. You get like the G's. I'd never had that on a coaster. So I went on that thing 3 or 4 freaking times in a row, man, because it was so cool. It's like the closest you can get to getting a Top Gun situation, you know. I'd love to do that too. Oh man, take me up in a Blue Angel and do some G's, pull some G's and do some flips and invert me a little bit. I'd like that. I think that'd be fun. I'm a controlled thrill seeker, okay? I like experts to help me thrill seek. Design me a very safe coaster and I'll ride it. Spend your life flying fighter jets, I'll ride with you. You know? But bungee jumping out of a plane, probably not. No, probably not. Trying to think of some. I want to quiz you for some reason today, Daddy. Let's see if I've got questions. What is your favorite overall restaurant of all time? Somebody got a gun to your head. I'm going to destroy you and your family if you don't tell me the truth. What is the best, greatest, most favoritist restaurant that you ever did visit?
I have to say it's in Monterey, California.
Yeah.
Owned by Clint Eastwood. And
Hog's Breath?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had dinner and we went out back and it had these little coves with fire going and it's chilly as usual. And he just randomly walked in and introduced himself. It was with Barbara and Paul.
Yeah, I didn't remember that you were there. I've told that story to them though, that Mom and Aunt Barbara had met Clint Eastwood.
And that was really at the peak of his career. Dirty Harry was in the theaters. I mean, it was one of those moments. And to see him just be a normal guy.
Yeah.
Chatting people up.
Yeah.
Thanking them for patronizing his restaurant.
Thanks for coming in. Hope you enjoy the beer.
Hope you feel lucky, punk. Do you feel lucky?
You feel lucky, you son of a...
Yeah. He didn't even talk like that.
Not yet. He wasn't quite in his, what was that? That movie, El Camino? Not El Camino. Gran Torino.
Yeah, that...
He wasn't quite that salty yet.
Grumpy old man.
Yeah.
He played that to the T, though. That's probably his last good movie.
I don't know. Have you seen? He did one where he's even older, where he played a drug trafficker. Like he gets roped into it. He's an old man, and he gets his Social Security taken away, and he was even older than that.
I remember that.
He was over 90 in that.
That wasn't bad.
It wasn't as good as Gran
Torino.
Torino.
Really bad one where he went into Mexico for some reason and chatted up some chick and ended up marrying her or being with her. He's older than me.
He's older than dirt.
Yeah. And it just wasn't even realistic.
It's cool that he's a down-to-earth guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of rare for a dude that big and worldwide famous to be that down-to-earth.
I think Keanu Reeves is that way in real life.
Yeah, I think he is. He's known for that. He's known to be like a real down-to-earth dude. I've talked to him about 8 different numbers for him if you want to see. No, he is actually, he's a prime target for that sort of thing because he is known to be a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Like he takes the subway and stuff and people see him out walking around, takes the bus, dresses normal. He doesn't put on airs, and so I think that makes him a target for that sort of scamming.
What's kind of cool, we know he's that way,
Hmm.
and then you see him in the movie, those Wick movies,
And he's
is awesome in those.
oh yeah, he's just a badass.
Yeah, way cool.
Yeah,
So he's a good actor.
super good guy.
Go
Yeah,
from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure
yeah,
to John Wick. That's pretty awesome.
yeah.
Pull that off.
And pretty much everything in between, man. He's been in rom-coms, sci-fi, action, horror-ish kind of stuff. He's run the gamut as an actor. He's really been in everything. You know what I mean? All the different kind of genres of movies. He's had his little run-in with it, and he's done real good.
Isn't he doing another Matrix? Did they con him into doing?
Well, they did another Matrix, and a lot of people didn't like it. I actually really liked most of it. I thought there were some parts of it that were a little definitely not my favorite Matrix movie, but I think people gave it like way more shit than it deserved. They were trying to do something different, and I gave them applause for that. We weren't just remaking the Matrix or just doing another big action spectacle. They did more of a thought-provoking movie where Neo has been reintegrated. I don't know how many of the Matrixes you watched, but at the end of the third one, which is the original trilogy, right? He's like taken into the machine and integrates with it, and he shuts them down and saves the people that live in the city, right? So in this one, because he went into the machine, he's been reintegrated into it and thinks he's just a normal guy. And he thinks he's a guy that co-wrote The Matrix. So he thinks that the story that he has in his head is something that he made up or fantasized and put. So it's kind of like breaks the fourth wall a little bit, because it's a movie where the movie is aware of The Matrix as a property. And so you know what I mean? So it was different, and a lot of people don't like different. I liked different.
The first Matrix, the back bend dodge, that slow mo back
bullet time,
bullets coming over.
Yeah.
That is iconic, and that's what everybody remembers and mimics from that movie.
Yeah, bullet time is still a thing that they do in movies too. You'll see it anytime you see a super slow mo tracking shot. It's multiple cameras. So for that shot, I don't know if you ever saw the making of The Matrix. It's wild. They had a rig with cameras, individual cameras set up in a spiral pattern around him. And he would go, fall back as fast as he could, and those cameras were rigged to go to shoot an image. And each one is remember, they're on a spiral, so each image is slightly shifted.
Yeah.
And that's how they got that effect. And they use CG to marry all the footage together and create the background as seamless and take out the cameras, right? Because they would have taken a bunch of pictures of themselves, obviously.
Whatever director or whoever came up with that one scene, I wonder, did they think this is going to be iconic?
Well,
Probably not. It was because there were other scenes similar.
I think they knew. I think when there's no
moment, they had to say, "Wow, we got a blockbuster."
I think that the Wachowski, well, at the time they were the Wachowski brothers. Now they're the Wachowski sisters. Both of them are trans now, which is interesting. The Wachowski sisters.
I smell a third rail.
Yeah, we won't go too far, but just letting you know, it's kind of interesting. And Lana Wachowski has said that The Matrix is in part philosophically about being trans. Figure that one out. All right, away from the third rail. No, I think they had to know, man. That script is such a kick-ass script, and they had great storyboarding artists, and I think that it was born there, and then they invented how to do it. We want this slow-mo shot of the agent shooting at Neo and the bullets slowing down and Neo seeing them and dodging them, right? We want to see it from all the angles. And how do we make that happen? They invented the technology to do it. So that movie blew my socks off the first time I saw it. I remember I went and saw it with the Loser Crew. We all got together on a weekend that we all had a Saturday off or something. And we went and saw it. went out the back, silent, and just went around front and bought another ticket and went and saw it again. The only movie I've ever done that with that I can think of where I had to see it back to back.
You guys just didn't go hide and sneak back in? You never leave the theater thing? Yeah.
I would never commit such a clear crime of theft of service.
Probably got a refill on your popcorn, went to the toilet.
You ever dine and dash a place?
I've never done that.
I never have either. I wondered if you maybe, I know you ran with a rough crowd when you were young, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I know you and the biker gangs, the greasers.
My mom was a waitress, so I couldn't stiff somebody like that.
Well, and you, or one of your earlier jobs was waiting tables, right?
Yeah. Cleaning.
I think once you've worked customer service, the idea of ripping somebody off like that becomes a lot harder. A lot harder.
I think I've shared with you that there were 5 of us kids when we were little, and Mom was a waitress in town, and we probably would not have eaten regularly if it hadn't been for her tips. And she'd have this apron that had a pocket in it that she'd just dump all her coins in.
Yeah.
When she'd get off at work, it was one of our favorite things as kids would go and stack the quarters and the nickels and count how much money she made. Mom came home upset one time and said and dumped her coins out and told the story about how some teenagers came in and they did all the mean things. They turned the glasses upside down where when Mom picked it up, the water poured out.
Oh, yeah.
And it just really made a mess and left a 1 penny tip. And when she said that, I was just a little guy when she said that. From that day on, it took all the joy out of counting the money. Every time I saw a penny, my little mind didn't work that way. I thought someone's being mean to my mom.
Oh, you thought they just gave a penny. Yeah. Most of the time they were given their change, but you thought somebody was mean.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, that sucks.
So yeah.
Yeah, I've always been the same way. I always tip well when I go out, and especially if somebody is real trying hard, you know what I mean? But even if they're not, I know what a bad day is. Yeah. And I still give them something. They always get a decent tip from me, and I have never dined and dashed. I'm really not. I'm always kind to people in customer service because I've been on the other end of that for a long time, and I know how one shitty person can ruin your whole day. Just make you feel bad all day, no matter how many people are in between. You know. So, yeah, that's interesting. You never told me that story about Grandma. I knew she was a waitress at Weaver's Smorgy, right? Well, that was at least part of it.
Yeah, mostly at the Fruit Basket.
Oh, at the Fruit Basket. That's right. And you worked there as well, right? You waited tables there.
Washed dishes, dust tables. Yeah. And the pinnacle was if you could get to be a salad boy, they called it. The guy that chops up the lettuce and you don't have to deal with the filth.
Oh yeah.
But I never quite made it.
Never got to salad boy.
I remember our favorite cook, Annie, had huge breasts.
Yeah.
And they would make macaroni salad in this huge steel bowl. And when she'd stick her arms in there to stir it, her boobs would go right into the... and we would fantasize about the boobs as we're washing dishes. But yeah, Annie.
Dang. Some big old smilkers on her. Big old jubblies.
Another sad thing about poor Mom, she never had money for shoes, so she wore these tennis shoes, white. They required that she wear them, but she would wear them so long that they'd crack across the bend of her foot.
Where she was stepping.
Right below the laces. They would literally tear right there. And she would take that white shoe polish on it. It came in a little plastic gizmo with a sponge on it, and you flip it over and kind of pump it, and she would try to hide that, and I'd see her putting those things on, and it just broke my heart every time I seen it, because her feet were just always so sore.
Yeah.
But the end of the story was she eventually went back to beauty school and got her license and became a hairdresser, and that was a good fit for her.
Yeah. Well, that's still customer service, but it allowed her to work from home, which was
And I guarantee
kind of
you,
crazy.
those women would come to get their hair cut from her times when they didn't really even need it, because all she did was chat them up the whole time.
Well, that was
like their confessor, their safe place.
Well, that was a different time.
She knew all their families. It was just kind of a beautiful thing.
The ladies that were her age and older that would come to her were from a different time where it was like that was part of their social schedule, was getting their hair freshened up, getting a facial, getting their nails filed down, and going on home. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, some of those, I remember being in there when she was working when I was little, and she would give us haircuts in there. I loved that. That was so much fun. I loved sitting in her hair dryer chair. Remember them things where the hair dryers would come down? It was like a space helmet when we were kids. We'd play like it was space helmets in there.
I tell you, she got on to me one time when she saw I'd gotten a haircut somewhere else. And after that, it felt like I was cheating.
Yeah.
And even now, when she's been gone for so many years now, 20, 30 years, and when I get a haircut, I think of her. I think, oh, Mom.
See,
I can't wait any longer.
I ain't cheating on Grandma. Okay?
Oh, you're holding out. Okay.
I ain't cheating on Grandma.
I mean, you need to straighten up or to go to heaven so Mom can cut your hair.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Hope you're having a great day, Paul. Thanks for the $9, man, or the $10. I guess $9.99. Thanks, Tyler. I don't know which Paul you were hoping had a great day, but we'll take it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's senior.
Probably. I mean, if somebody walks in the room and says Paul, and you're with me, I'm gonna think they're calling you. Because I'm used to. Amelia calls me Paul. She doesn't call me PJ, unless you're around.
That's a family thing. Yeah.
It's mostly just my family. Couple of my older friends, like Waylon calls me PJ. But I've gotten used to being called Paul. But I swear, dude, it's still to this day. There's a little bit of there's one little reaction that's kind of behind everything. That's like, that's Dad, man. I'm not Paul. I'm PJ. You know what I mean? Because I was PJ for until about high school. I stopped wanting to be PJ because it was uncool, and I started being Paul.
Not a real name, Dad. Not a real name.
Yeah. But I didn't mind it. I liked PJ all the way up until about middle school is when I started feeling like it was lame. Because I didn't want Miss Divine calling me PJ, you know?
Miss Beckett?
No, Miss Divine.
Oh, there's a name.
Oh, so divine.
I'm going to get something warm.
Yeah. Yeah, Daddy. Does Peaches still have the same effect? My mom's the only one that calls me Peaches. Well, my mom and my stepdad will call me Peaches. They're the only two people on planet Earth that will ever call me Peaches.
I think that's something your mom came up with, wasn't it?
Nope.
Mary Jo.
Nope.
Where did the Peaches come from? A girl?
I had a gymnastics teacher who was from Eastern Europe, had a thick Slavic kind of accent. And she heard my mom saying Peej or PJ. And because she didn't have the accent, she thought my mom was saying Peaches. And so she started calling me Peaches. And my mom overheard her call me Peaches, thought it was the cutest thing in the world. And to this day, my mom still calls me Peaches.
I think that's true.
Yeah. But I was just telling them, it's like anybody, like it's Mom and Steve are the two people that will routinely call me Peaches. And I think Steve, it's just because he's in her orbit. He hears her calling me Peaches. It's probably easier for him. But outside of that, like when TJ or Scotty use it, it's like it's a put down. You know what I mean? My mom's the only one that can call me Peaches, and it feels warm and fuzzy, you know? If TJ goes, hey, what up, Peaches? I'm like, shut up, bitch. I'll kill you. What is your mom? I just told the story about the peaches. That's how I feel because I'm a junior. I go by Junior. Oh, yeah. A lot of juniors, I think, end up, their nickname is just Junior.
I like PJ better.
PJ was good.
Paul Jr.
Yeah, PJ works. And, you know, it's PJ and TJ. TJ is not, he's Thomas James, though, is his name, so. And he has, I can't even remember how he explains it, but he's Thomas James Kirk III is his full name. And he's not even a junior. His dad's name wasn't Thomas James Kirk II or Junior. So it's like a stylistic name that his dad gave him. It's interesting. Your mom seems like the sweetest from your stories. She's, you know those nuts that are salty sweet? That's my mother. As long as you're good to me and to hers, she's good with you. But if you go crosswise on any of her grandbabies or me or anybody she loves or cares about or is watching over, you better watch out. Because there's a chancla coming across the room. A flip-flop. Mr. Dad, please tell us the story of how you arrived at choosing Paul's name.
Before PJ was even born, we agreed if it's a boy, it's going to be Paul Jr. So he has,
Well, when you say we agreed, because Mom tells it different.
Oh.
Mom says you wouldn't brook any discussion.
Oh, that's yeah.
She had a couple other names picked out that she was wanting to throw in the mix, and you were adamant.
There's an example of the man putting his foot down.
Who wore the pants?
When we first got
You.
together,
Yeah.
I took my pants off, I threw them to her, just to get it straight. I said, put them on. And she pulled them on, and they just fell down. And I said, there you go. I wear the pants in this family. So
Did
she
you
turned
actually
around
do
and
that?
She pulled off her little skivvies, her little panties, and threw them at me and said, put those on. And I couldn't get them up past my knees. I said, I can't get into them. She says, and you'll never get into them until you change that attitude.
Oh.
And sure enough, that's kind of the way it was.
Damn. That is... Wow. I'd never heard that. That's a good one. And that sounds about right. That is the two of you in a nutshell.
I have to say, we were madly in love.
Yeah.
20 years, I do not regret. It didn't end very nicely, but it gave me PJ and Marjo and all them beautiful grandkids, so I cannot begrudge it.
Cannot.
I have so forgiven and moved beyond that.
That's nice. I'm really glad of that for you, because I don't think, it is kind of sad. I don't think I knew how much of that you harbored. I think me and my sister and probably my mom, it was like that for all of us. We thought, Dad feels uncomfortable. He's not comfortable being around this side of the family. He'll do it every once in a while, but he's just not comfortable. That's where I thought it began and ended after all the years went by. You know what I mean? I thought, you know, and I felt like it was kind of probably the same way on Mom's side. Like, I'd probably rather not hang out much. And to hear that, you know, you were harboring so much ill will for so long, but it's very like me. You know what I mean? We're grudge bearers, you and me. We're like elephants. We never forget.
Yeah, you gotta find forgiveness in this life. It's just way too short to carry that kind of burden.
Well, I will tell you one thing, Daddy. I've had trouble here and there in my life with forgiveness, but when it comes to romantic partners, being with people and it doesn't work out, I think I've always been really good. I try and have a perspective about it. After you go through the initial boo-hoo-hoo, you feel like the world is ending. The perspective I try and land on is, look, if we were supposed to all be together, then we'd be together. You know what I mean? And if it's not right for her, then it ain't right for me.
So you've been cheated on, is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been cheated on. I've been lied to. I've been manipulated. I've been had hurtful things slung at me and hurtful things done to me. But I haven't cheated, but I've done some of that stuff back, you know?
I think what made it difficult for me is 20 years, 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a chunk of your life.
Yeah.
At the time it all fell apart, I think I'd been married most of my life, more than half.
Yeah, for sure. If you were married 20 years.
I was married at 18.
Yeah.
But there were literally moments of that marriage, and many times where it was just beautiful. So it's not all ugly. When I
It's a
look back at it now, it blinds you. The hate blinds you where you can't even see the good.
Yeah.
And it changes you in a way you don't want to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to be able to let that go.
Yeah.
Sit down with the person. If they're still alive, I'd say try to at least sit down with the person, have no expectations, and let it go. Say your piece. And you might be surprised the other person may have been holding back some things that they needed to say, and you both find the
Breaking
peace.
the ice is hard, isn't it?
It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. I tell you, harder than forgiving someone else is in those quiet hours and you think about your life. Forgiving yourself is probably the toughest thing, to be able to move beyond some of your blunders and mistakes and regret. Yeah, to move beyond that sometimes.
Yeah.
It eluded me until I was an old man, but I think I've gotten there where I've had peace with who I am, and I no longer hold hatred for my father, for my ex-wife. I've been able to let go of all that, and that has literally changed my life.
Yeah. And that's a powerful thing.
And you and I, our stupidity of being away from each other for so many years.
Yeah.
I have to almost die for you and I to shake it off and get back together. And now I can't even imagine that we're not together yet. I'm a son.
Well, I think to a certain extent, you know, and we talked about this a little bit. What happened between you and me maybe needed to happen. Maybe it didn't need to go as long and it didn't need to be as harsh as I was on my end. I won't speak for your end, but you know, I think me and you needed to hash out whatever it was between us, and I think that's, you know, it's regrettable that it took 7 years, but it isn't regrettable that we've mended fences, and it turns out we get along just fine. There's no way you would have stayed here if you were uncomfortable or it felt off for the whole 10 days, you know what I mean? You would have probably found an excuse to go home early, or you certainly wouldn't be talking about coming back if it had been a bad experience, and we wouldn't be as open to the idea of you coming back if it had been bad for us, you know? And so, you know, in order for us to get there, I think some stuff had to happen, right? I think I had to figure out my shit, because I think if you'd come down here and I was living in squalor and you watched what I did and it was just bullshit, I think you'd probably have a different feeling in your mind going back home.
Well, I don't know that it was quite that extreme, but I certainly had a simpler version of what you do for a living.
But I'm just saying, had you shown up and we were living ramshackle, barely making ends meet, and you know, and when you watched me do what I did, it was just kind of fuck it, throw away, there's nothing behind it. And when you asked me about business, well, oh, whatever, man, you know. If it was that, you'd probably leave here with a whole different feeling, right? I think you needed to see that I'm okay. And I think that fatherly stuff, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, right? Because I'll never be a father. But I think that was where a lot of the critique came from, right? And like you, when I left my marriage, you saw me leaving stability and leaving the white picket fence and leaving the job and leaving the, you know what I mean? And you didn't, there was nothing I could have said to you at that time that would have told you what I was trying to build.
That is a perfect example of how harboring hatred and not letting go can present itself in the middle of a conversation inappropriately, and during that it triggered me seeing you go through what I went through years ago when you were younger, and me saying you're just like your mom, I think, was like an atom bomb that dropped between us.
Yeah.
And you started in with this verbal berating. I never heard so many strung together expletives in my life.
Yeah.
And I just hung up on you.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you didn't let that go. You wrote this manifesto and emailed it to me.
Yeah.
That completely destroyed me as a father. Every bad thing I ever did. And I think we laughed about it. You even put in there that I pulled the putty out of your mouth and wiped your ass too hard. He has a memory like a woman.
I do.
At least the
well,
wife.
I would look,
Wife
dude.
seemed to have that kind of
I had nothing but sisters, man.
But man, I carried that thing around with me. I had it on my phone.
I'm glad you got rid of
I'd get
it.
it out and I'd read it and it just destroy me again. And finally I was able to read through it without just kind of wanting to go off myself. And I erased it finally and just walked away from it. But that's one of the things that I had to kind of find peace with.
That shit, as ugly as it was and as nastily presented as it was in that email, that stuff had to come out. It was between us.
That was poison.
It was between us.
It was poison you had to spit out.
It was between us. It was something, it was going to be unfinished business. It was going to be something that kept us from being okay. And it kept me from being okay.
Had I been the bigger man,
yeah,
after receiving the email from hell, had I called you and said, PJ, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How would you have received that at that time? Or was your anger just a little out there?
Man, I was mad. Yeah. I was mad at you. I was mad at Mom. I was mad at everybody, man.
The timing, timing was everything.
That's what I mean when I say that maybe it needed to go the way it went. Because if you would, I'm not saying, I probably, like if you'd been persistent with it and you'd have been like, okay, he didn't take my call, but you know what? Next month, I'm going to pick a day of the month. Every 25th, I'm going to call PJ.
Just put it on the calendar. Grovel to PJ.
Well, I mean, just call him and see if he'll pick up. I have a feeling that after a couple months, I probably would have picked up or reached out. And...
You don't even pick up the phone now. I have to call your wife.
Well, I mean, that's just...
She has to hunt you down and say, call your dad.
Yeah, well, I try. Listen, I'm better with you than I am with most people. You ought to be thankful. Most people can't even reach me through her. She says,
She filters them out.
Sorry, he's not taking messages right now. No, I'm kidding. I just hate the phone. You do. I hate it.
We're the same there.
I just feel like it's a big...
Now you're so far away that we're kind of stuck.
For now. For now.
I'll be back.
I know you will.
I'll be back this way.
In the meantime, you always are able to get a hold of me when you want to.
I'll be going back by July. I'm going to really wish I wasn't in Yuma, Arizona. Because it's going to be hot. Yeah. Yeah. It was already hot when you left, right? I'm thinking of you up here where it's nice and cool. Yep. It'll actually be love for my son that drives me up here. Nothing to do with temperature. No way. Yeah. Well. I don't know, man. Life is a trip. And then you die. I think you're mixing up your sayings. No, that's the saying. Life is a trip and then you die. That's Coolio, man. A modern philosopher. Coolio on Fantastic Voyage. Life is a trip and then you die. Still trying to get a piece of that apple pie. Damn. Bittersweet, isn't it? Bittersweet. Doesn't your dad love the Grateful Dead as my dad does, or was that your mom? Neither one of my family is... Well, I guess my mom and stepdad kind of like Grateful Dead. I don't think you've ever been a big Grateful Dead. Or are you? Are you a Deadhead? No. No. They were big back then, but I was a little nerdy.
Yeah.
I was a band nerd. So.
Well, by the time you had me, you rocked out, man. You were listening to the modern 80s shit. Madonna and Cyndi Lauper, Genesis, and George Michael, and Wham, and Chicago, and all the good 80s stuff. You guys were right on the bleeding edge of all that cool shit. So you were pretty slamming. I think the 70s knocked a little cool in you, because there's a couple pictures of you, man, that are just straight up freaking cool, man. I've got them somewhere. I made up copies of them because Mom had them in an album. There was one that, man, the best. You are pretty fit too. You hadn't chonked up at all. Chest hair showing. You had a gold chain nested in the chest hair, right? You had the like top button open a little bit on that butterfly collared shirt, Budweiser print, and a beard.
I like to see that.
Whether you're a brother or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive, staying alive.
We were dead on the disco. We lived through that.
Yep.
I've been long out of the service. I just got my job and got settled in California when that thing hit. It was like a bomb. We used to go to there was a park, there was a swim park during the day, but at night they had a pavilion that they'd open up and they'd play disco music and had that ball,
Yeah.
disco ball. And,
Disco Inferno.
It was fun. It was actually fun.
What was your favorite disco song? Did you have a fave? Did you like the slow jams or did you like the fast jams?
I hate to say it, Staying Alive, a big one, yeah. Anything the Bee Gees did at that time.
Oh yeah, More Than a Woman.
Yeah.
There was a bunch.
Your mom was a very good dancer.
Oh, she still is, man.
I would do my best, and she just danced circles around me, and she'd take her little shoes off, get out there barefoot, and just tear it up.
Well, Mom has that thing where in that she knows how to turn off any social awareness and dance like nobody's watching type of deal. She's got that ability. I always envied her that because I'm real socially conscious, maybe overly so. I'm always worried when in social situations if somebody's doing something, or if I'm doing something wrong, or somebody's going to say something wrong. I'm very alert. And Mom knows how to be that way, but she knows how to live in the moment. She has Wu Wei, man. She has Wu Wei.
She's a little more uptight these days, huh?
Well, in some ways, yeah, but not. I wasn't even really talking about drinking. I was talking about just more. She's more like a free spirit a little bit. She's got a little bit of that, that wild horses type of thing. She's a little bit of that, and
she can be a bit unfiltered.
Well, she's also just impossible. She's impossible, Daddy. I don't know how you made it 20 years with the woman, to be honest with you. I know it's one of your, it's a big bad moment in your life, but I commend you. That's 20 years in the salt mines right there, man. No, I'm not. I love my mother, but she is hard-headed as an old billy goat and twice as tough. So
I don't. Most of my marriage with her, like I said, it ended poorly, but I thought I thought my world was perfect. So
yeah,
I was kind of foolish toward the end, but for the most part, my life was perfect. You and Mary Jo out there on the ranch. It was good times.
Yeah. But, she's impossible, though, that woman. She might be the death of me before she even goes. She and I have always been like sandpaper up against sandpaper, man. It is just, we never are able to lock into a groove. You know what I mean?
I think I do a bit, because I cannot talk to her without her bringing you up. She's obsessed with you. You're firstborn, mama's boy. and she loves you. Everything. I know it's kind of aggravating sometimes, but everything's coming out of love. She would,
No, I
if
know
she
that
could, she
much.
would demand that you go live by her.
I know.
And if she got her way,
Yeah.
it seems like the more she does it, the further away you move.
If she knew I wouldn't protest, she probably would have bought me a house already or finagled some way to get me into a place. So, you know what I mean? It is only because over the years I've had to take little bits of, have little boundary conversations with her. It's like, okay, mama, this is okay, but this is getting weird, you know? And I think we're at a good place now, but she'll never be satisfied with, even when I lived down there, she never saw me enough, you know? So one of them
I
things.
think if things played out differently, you would still be in that bedroom at her house.
If you guys had allowed it, because there are certain parents, I think that's a difference, right? You guys could not conceive of having a slug for a son that just sits and you're embarrassed of him and you kind of keep him, but you know he just can't really do nothing because he never really got out, and he claims, oh, my back hurts, oh, my neck hurts, oh, I'm crazy. And he stays in his bedroom, plays World of Warcraft all day, and he's never kissed a girl. You know, I mean, there are people that have kids like that, and they don't have that their paternal and maternal instincts are stronger than their instinct to do what is right for their kid. Now, there's a big argument about that these days, because kicking somebody out at 18 means something different today than it meant when you did it to me. You know, good, bad, right, or wrong, kids have less opportunity now. It's harder to live on your own on a minimum wage job than it was. It's harder to find a group of people. It's harder to even get an apartment for two little scumbags with no rental history. You know what I mean? There's a lot of barriers now, but ultimately, tons of kids are still being treated just like I was treated. Tons of kids are given that ultimatum. Either you go to school and work a little job and help support yourself, or go find your own way, you know? I talked to a lot of people who were given that kind of ultimatum at some point. Some of them maybe a little later, right? Like 20. If their parents feel like they're rudderless at 20 and still living at home, they get, you know, but ultimately it's kind of the same idea still applies. And the kids that don't get it, kissless virgins, man, for the rest of their lives. Sad. But and then those dudes have you heard of incels?
What's that?
Involuntary celibate. So it's a dude that wants to find a woman but can't, right? And feels like, hey man, I'm a man, I'm entitled to that love and affection that every other guy seems to have, but I never get it. And you can't explain to these dudes. I've talked to them. I'll go like, so do you think that a woman is going to stumble into your mom's house, find your stinky, sweaty smelling Star Wars bedroom, find you sitting there in a puddle of your own neglect, and jump in your lap and bounce her way to two kids and a picket fence? I don't know what your thought. You have to go out and meet people. You know what I mean?
I think dating has gotten really tough. I think these dating apps, I'd say maybe the top 10% of the good-looking guys, the Chads, are scooping up all the decent looking women, and then the normal guys are having to scramble and fight over some fat chick.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of a bad situation. It's different. We didn't have that going on when
True.
we were young.
Yeah, we didn't have the competition.
But
All right.
nowadays, it's tough. These guys, all they got to do is lie to them a little bit, and they get in their drawers.
I don't know. I've never done I've never done the dating app thing. I don't judge people that use it, but I have talked to people that use it, and it's almost uniform. They go, I used it, I dated, I never met nobody like that I felt real compatible with on it, and I got so burnt out with it that I hate it now. So I think there's less people locked up in that than you might think. there's definitely opportunity everywhere you look. You know what I mean? Women look for different things. It's not just, yeah, when they're young, like 18, 19, 20, women might have this fantasy of Prince Charles and shit. But women, like, look at me. I've never been single longer than a month in my life, maybe 2 months maximum. I'm nothing special to look at, but I got the gift of gab. I'm a social butterfly. I know how to talk. I'm funny. I'm interesting. Those are, not to toot my own horn, big old hog too. So that helps too. That's a good sales pitch. Big giant hog. You know what that's like. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. In omni patris et filii spiritus sancti, amen. There you go. You're covered.
What kind of
That's Catholic.
religion was that?
That just means in the name of the Father, the Son, and the
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
Spirit, amen. It's in nomine patris et filii spiritus sancti, amen. It's Latin, Daddy. Latin. No. I gotta say this. Not to touch the third rail, but I think God is probably chill with me. I gotta be honest, if there is a God, I think he's probably chill with me. I think he is. I don't think I hurt people. I think I'm a pretty humble guy. I try to help out when I can, try to be good to my family and my friends. What else can you ask of a man, right? If I go up there and turns out there's a God and he's about to judge my life, I feel like I'm gonna do okay. I made some dumb things. I said some dumb stuff to people. I made some heartless decisions a couple of times in my life. I have sinned, right? But I think he's going to look at the balance of my life and say, like, oh, man, look at you. Big old hog on you. You know what I mean? Good job. Sorry, it's sacrilege. Yeah, sacrilege. You're right. I'm sorry.
You think he can admire you if you have a large manhood?
I mean,
somehow be impressed.
I was created in his image, right? He knows what's up. He knows what's up. No,
Oh man, that's so sacrilegious. I think I'm gonna have to go to church when I get back.
It's all right. I think he'd laugh at it too if he was up there. Don't you? Don't you think God would chuckle at the absurdity of what I just said?
You're asking me, you think God has a sense of humor, right?
If we have a sense of humor, he has one.
I think so.
We're made in his image. That doesn't just mean how we look, right?
I gotta think, if he's observing you, he has a plan for you. And someday it's gonna grab you by the ass and things will change. But
that's one.
Right now,
I hope not, man. I hope
you
not.
Exercise your free will and have a good time. So,
I wish that I could impart a little peace on my family without having to be a hypocrite. You know, because I know, especially mom and my sister probably, and then some of my older little nieces and my nephews. They probably are like worried about me going and burning in a flaming pit and everything and shit like that, right?
I guarantee you.
I know. And it's like, I wish I could tell them, like, look, guys, I know that there's all this doctrine and I'm supposed to do XYZ. But I'm going to say, I think God, I think he's chill with it, y'all. I think he's chill with it. I think he's way less strict than he was back in the you must sacrifice 8 goats to me days. He's mellowed. You have to admit, Old Testament to New Testament, the dude way mellowed.
Yeah.
It was like you in your 30s and you now. You were a tyrant. And now, look at you. Look at you. Wise. Not quick to anger. I wish, I know I'm joking a little bit, but I do wish that I could assuage a little bit of that worry in them, because it makes me sad that some of the time they spend thinking about me is worrying that I'm gonna roast instead of thinking like, oh, PJ's doing good. PJ smelled good the last time I saw him, and so he's clean, you know, that's good, you know, whatever, you know, I don't know. Yeah, it seems like there'd be other happy thoughts that could be in the place of imagining me like, you know.
God help. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know, Jay. I think if you ever became sincerely, I'm not suggesting you like fake it till you make it, but if you sincerely became a Christian, I think it would help a lot of people.
I think you would hate my guts.
Your family would be happy.
I'll tell you the same
I
thing.
would hate your guts.
Oh, yeah. I told the same thing to Brandon and Mary Jo, and they laughed. And then I kept explaining. I was like, I'm being serious. I am militant, man. I would be holy rolling. I would be known as the holy rolling guy if I was sincerely Christian. I don't brook hypocrisy. I don't like Sunday Christians at all now, and I'm an atheist. Right? You're gonna call yourself a Christian. I want to see you. I want to see a little Jesus. If I don't see no Jesus, then you're something else. You're in a social club or something. You better show me some Jesus. You would hate my guts. Everybody would be, as soon as I left, oh, thank goodness, that holy rolling, Bible thumping.
So if you became a Christian, you'd be perfect? Is that what you're saying?
No, I would be a holy roller.
Well, a perfect Christian.
Everyone sins.
Maybe a little radical.
I would be willing to say, Daddy, listen, everybody sins, but this cussing, I heard you say the S word and the F word. You're going to stop. Now, God forgive me, I sin too, but I ain't going to sit by and listen to you sin. You better ask you for forgiveness.
You'd be calling people out left and right.
Oh,
You'd be
I told Brandon this. I said, look, man, I like the way you run your church, because I went to one of his servants. He's a good guy. I like the way you run your church. I wouldn't be in there like rabble rousing, but I would be up your ass every day about something. You'd hate my guts. You'd be looking to pawn me off on another parish as soon as you could. And I really do feel that way. I get, when I'm into something, right, I go all the way. If I believe it, you know what I mean? If I feel like that, you know, yeah, this is mine, this is what I am, this is what I believe is correct and true and right, I'm not in it with a pinky toe, man.
What would have to happen for you to say, I'm a believer? I mean, is God going to have to talk to you directly, or at least send an angel down? Or
I mean, that would be helpful. I mean, that would do it. I don't know if it would take that exactly, but yeah, that would do it. I mean, I feel like him just popping up in that chair right now and going, hey, I'm real and the Bible's true. And then poof, I'd be like, okay, all right. But then no free will.
No faith.
Right, no faith.
No need for faith.
So outside of that, presuming God is operating within these rules, I don't know. I think that it would have to, I think I would have to be drawn to it in the same way that I was kind of drawn to the Tao, right? Because I wasn't really looking to be religious when I started looking into Buddhism, and I'm not really super religious now, but I definitely am dabbling in that. And I felt really called by the message of that, and I also felt really helped by meditation. I've done meditation for 20 years to help me with things, right? And that integrates really well with those religions. And I've seen that help me. I've seen myself grow as a person and become more capable at handling my own stuff. You know, and so that, I would have to see some application of it that I feel would enrich my life and draw me into that environment beyond just wanting to be around my family, right? Because that's why, if I were to do it, it would be because of that, right? Right now, as I stand. And I just can't, you know, I can't do it. I feel like that'd be hypocritical. So, you know, that's where I'm at. I don't know what that would entail, but I would have to feel called to it, I guess, is the idea. Beyond just the selfishness of, hey, it would be cool to get invited to stuff and to not feel like an outsider at it. That feels coercive to me.
For me, being forced or coerced. Somebody with an agenda coming at you.
Mm.
That's never going to move anybody.
Mm.
But if you make it part of your life that you're going to shun everybody in your life that is a Christian, then you're going to miss out on a lot of beautiful moments.
Well, I'm not shunning. I really am not.
No, I think you've come to terms with that.
Yeah.
You've come a long way.
I've been to church, and I've been to a couple church things, and I've gone, look, I may not like it. May not be my selection of thing that I've told you, I would rather when I go to Thanksgiving, it was just my family.
Oh.
Selfish as that would be, I would rather have a non-church Thanksgiving. And this last year I did. My Thanksgiving, or no, not this last year, but then this next year I will. Thanksgiving will be here with her family. And, and that's all that'll be there. It'll be members of her family, and I am now that. I'm married in. And I miss that, and that's special to me in a way that a big, giant church gathering can't be, no matter what. I don't care if all those people that I love are there, if they're all mingling with people I don't know, and that I just feel like I don't get the time to have that thankfulness and fellowship. That's what it's about to me.
For me, it's because I come from so far away to Madera to share and all that, so I spend a few days. So it's not like that's the only time I see them is with all those people.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a little different than you typically would be just coming in for that celebration, and all those people are there. I see that's a little less personal than you would like. I can understand that.
And there's no way for me to, because I would never tell my sister, hey, close your home to all these people that have come to expect this like community event that you guys have created. Because it is a nice thing that they do to open their house to all those people, and it's a very Christian thing that they do, and I commend them for that. But it leaves me in kind of a lurch, because once again, I don't know those people, and it's not that I don't want to know them, but I'm not really looking for friends. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. I have enough. I have enough friends. I do. That's one of the things I learned from my psychiatrist of long. My therapist, I guess, would be a better way of putting it. Was that he told me one time, he said, Paul, because I was talking to him about how I was stressed out managing all my friendships. Because in my 20s, dude, I had like 20 friends that were close enough to be like, hey, want to come over to my house? Want to smoke a bowl? Want to have a beer? Want to chill out? Can I come stay over? We'll fucking do this. We'll go. Want to go on a camping trip? I had probably like 20 people, right, that I could name. And I was stressed. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, man, I don't know how to juggle everybody's expectations of me. I feel like I have 20 people in my life, maybe more, and every one of them's got their own picture of who I and what I am in their head. And if I can't present them that every damn day on demand, and he said, well, how many friends do you have? I got about 20. He was like, he said, look, I'm good for you, but you realize you need one or two, right? Maybe even just one really good friend. I was like, well, yeah, but I have a really good friend, but one comes with others. And he was like, no. You manage the expectations of the one person that is your close friend, and let the other ones go hang themselves for all you care. That you don't have to be friends to everybody your friends are friends with. And it's simple, right? But I had never thought of it that way because...
Good advice.
Yeah. And, so that's just, I'm upfront with people about that. Like, I'm happy to meet you. It's like with this, I'm not trying to, toot my own horn or whatever, but we talked a little bit about that word parasocial. It's like where people look up to someone. People can get a one-sided view of me being a nice guy to talk to and being available to talk to, and me being their friend, So I'm very upfront with people. I'm not recruiting. Help not wanted. we're all full up. Maybe, you know what, I tell you what, it gets busy in the summer. Maybe I'll call you if something opens up. But right now, all full up on the friends, you know.
And you think at the pearly gates, that's going to be cool with God.
He might wag. Look, I am not saying that I'm not going to get a stern talking to on a few, because I'm not a hypocrite, man. I'll admit I've been a bad boy a couple of times. You know what I'm talking about? But it was all in good fun. You know, I never hurt nobody. I mean, maybe I hurt a couple people, but you know what I mean? I said my sorries to them. And I made amends best I could to those people, right? So don't you think God will be like, all right, marks off for that, all right? I was going to give you a check minus, that's a check plus. And then when it adds up, I'm a C minus. He goes, welcome in. You know, maybe I'm like lower class in heaven. I got a green card. But if I'm misbehaving, then I'm subject to deportation. Something like that, right? I feel like God can't be super duper hard-assed like that, because it just wouldn't make sense. It doesn't seem to be like Jesus. Like Jesus, you know, a man that, you know, tried his best but didn't quite go the right way, and Jesus goes like, get away from me, you scum. You know, I just can't see him do that. I think he's going to be all right. Now, Muhammad, if it turns out that that's the dude waiting for me, I don't think I'm getting my 70 virgins or whatever it is. I don't think I'm getting it. I think we're all in trouble if Muhammad is the one. But presuming that the Christians are right, I think I'll be okay. I wish I could impart that to the family members that worry over me.
I think you know the Bible better than me. You know the answer to that question, right? You have to accept Jesus Christ and be forgiven.
Okay, I did that, though. I did.
Sincerely.
Well, I did sincerely. I was 13. I went to a 4th Street Church of God. It was for some holiday thing, and they had a children's chapel, and they did an altar call. I was 13. I went up there, and I sincerely thought, hey, this is part of it. I was raised Christian. You know, we weren't super church going, but I didn't know. You know, I went up there, and I did it. So I'm covered. I told Mary Jo Brandon that, too.
What do they have to say to that?
Well, you know, that's good, but...
Like Sydney's 16-year-old baptism.
Right.
Didn't stick, and he had to get it done. What is he, 73 now? Maybe it didn't stick.
Well, I mean, I thought that's all it doesn't say.
I honestly think I know your plan.
Oh, you think I'm going to wait till my deathbed and then just be like...
You're hedging your bet on this whole rapture thing that, you know, God's going to come and scoop us all up. Left behind thing.
Yeah.
So you're going to be,
Land is going to be cheap when he comes and scoops all of you up. I'm telling you that right now, bro. I'm going to get a screaming deal, man. I'll be able to pick wherever I want, probably.
But yeah, you're going to be one of those guys that... Like the guy on the cross next to Jesus that gets forgiven and boom, he goes to heaven, right? So you're gonna hope for that last.
Well, I feel like Catholics are the best for that. Like if I'm going for the cheat code, I request a Catholic priest, do my confession, take communion.
But you wouldn't have time to do the 3 Hail Marys every hour on the hour.
I mean, he'd probably, you know, they have leeway.
Can I get the short notes on that one?
They have leeway.
I don't know. I have to say, I was in a Bible study and we were going through Revelations, and rapture was kind of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised at how many different beliefs there is about the rapture. And
the
word rapture doesn't even occur in the Bible at all.
Mm-mm.
But they send out a text message, a group chat to everyone, and says, hey, you know, we're meeting so-and-so this day, this time. Just a reminder, who's in? So everybody would chime in, and I chimed in and I said, I plan to be there. Unless the rapture happens, then I won't be there.
Yeah.
So when I got there, they were all waiting for me to pull in with my car. And when I got out, they kind of rat packed me and they said, "Oh, that was. We heard what you said." And she said, "Obviously, the rapture didn't happen." I said, "Well, hold on. Maybe we all just didn't make the cut."
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we get home, the wife might be gone. All the kids are gone. Oh, Dad, don't speak so soon.
Rapture jokes, Dad. Rapture jokes.
Yeah.
The world is a crazy place. But yeah, no, I've reached a point in my life where it doesn't bother me. I'm at peace to the extent that I can be with the fact that my family kind of has their own thing going on and I'm not really included in it. Okay, maybe, it just still stings a little, but I think I've come to peace with it to the extent I can. So that's okay, right? But I wish I could impart some of that peace on the members of my family who are just so worried about me. You know what I mean? I wish I could make them feel better without being a hypocrite about it. Because it would really be hypocritical of me to pretend to believe to get along with my family. And I've never been a person that can do that. I'm too outspoken. It's why you would hate me if I was a Christian. You better hope I don't. That's what I told Brandon. I said, you guys are praying for the wrong thing. You better pray God keeps me over here.
I don't know. I guess we beat that third rail all to death. The only thing left is Trump. Pope Trump.
Pope Trump. Oh man, the Catholics got, and some just non-Catholics got salty about that. Said it was very disrespectful for him to post that picture of himself dressed as a pope. Very disrespectful.
Speaking of disrespectful, I accidentally, I forget in what conversation, but I called Brandon a priest. And he never let me forget. He razzed me about it many times afterwards. And finally I said, well, if you're a priest, that kind of makes me the Pope-in-law.
True.
So, yeah.
That's a powerful position.
Oh.
Like a bishop or something.
But that's a kind of a running joke that we have with each other.
A priest. So would he be a...
I meant to say preacher, but it came out priest.
Does he call himself a preacher?
He's a pastor.
Pastor.
Yeah. He's been pasteurized.
Yeah, homogenized like milk. No. It's one of those things.
People that love you, PJ, want the best for you.
Sure.
And their belief is, hey, we're going to go to heaven. We want to see you there with us when we go to heaven.
I think I'll be there, man.
I think it comes from, it's not a judgmental, it's not that, it's more from love. And I think if you would we're in a situation where you spent more time with Christian people, I think...
I've spent a lot of time.
Not hypocritically.
No.
Go there and challenge them. Ask them to tell their testimony. Why do you believe?
I don't want it.
What made you believe? And I think it'd be eye-opening to you.
Maybe so, but I've had a lot of that. Like, a lot of people misunderstand. Like, I have talked a lot of religion with a lot of religious people. Some of it contentious. Most of it just honest, open, good-natured exchange. And, so it's not like I've avoided. I've gone to the family stuff. I've been over to their church a few times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm a complete ghost in their lives because of it. I've never felt like I needed it or wanted to go there constantly or even often. It wasn't that I was repelled by it. It was just not attractive to me. The social gathering, it doesn't seem like there's much point for me to be there if I don't believe in what's being preached. And I don't want to argue with people about it. Yeah. It is not my intent to get people to not believe what they believe. I would never strip that away from anybody any more than I would allow somebody to come strip it from me. I have my beliefs too. And so I know how I'm a little more mellow, I think, than I used to be in my 20s.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have to say though, I think often when your life is working and you really don't have any needs, you're making enough money, you live where you want to live, you you got a wife, and in my case, kids, and during that time, we would take you kids to church, but it was kind of a Sunday Christian thing. So you take it all for granted. It's when your life implodes and you start seeking some truth or some meaning in life. I think I think then people are more likely, not when they're all fat, dumb, and happy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Not that I'm calling you fat,
I am, though.
but dumb and happy, probably.
Yeah, I'm all three of those. Big old hog, though.
But I have had a conversation with your mom, and I said it in a group setting. It was with her little group. You know, her and her husband had that group. I went to it,
Mm.
and I said, I think eventually, because I guess it happens to us all, that we have a moment where we're brought to our knees and we have to take a look at our mortality, and we're not going to live forever. Because, you know, before I had cancer, I thought I was indestructible, and I thought I'd live forever.
See, I remember talking to you about that when we first got together, not to interrupt you, but I was disabused of that indestructible notion pretty young. I was 16 when I had my first brush with death.
Wow.
And I think I remember when we talked about it, it gave you a little perspective, right? It's not the same thing as getting cancer at your age, but being held at gunpoint, being told you're going to be killed, and then they're going to go kill your whole family, that sort of thing. Dude, I was ready to go. So I've been as close to death as anybody that claims they've been close to death. And I had it happen to me early, and it changed my perspective on shit.
I wonder, for me, the cancer was, why am I still alive at the end of it? And if I've been spared by some higher power, God, then why? There has to be a reason.
Yeah.
And is it to help others? Is it? I know you can go mow their yard or whatever. I'm talking about, is there some meaning, some help? Is it to bring PJ to Christ? Is that why I was spared? You didn't look at it that way, though. When you went through yours, you probably yacked through the whole thing, if I know you. You were trying to talk them out of killing you the whole time? Or were you quiet?
No. Well, they told me to shut the fuck up. They questioned me.
You were a little salty back then.
Well, no,
so
I mean,
the guy just told you to shut up.
I did as I was told. I had a 9mm in my face. I did as I was told. But they asked me some questions, and then when they were done with the questions they asked, they told me, put your head down and shut the fuck up. And rested the gun right there. So I had my head down, and he kept the gun like that on the back of my skull. And they drove for like an hour and a half.
They could have shot you and rolled you out and never got caught.
Yeah. Well, I mean, eventually maybe they would have got caught, but not that night.
Well, you probably thought about it. Why did they spare you?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I didn't mean to get that deep with you.
No, I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't know. I never got to pick their brains about it, and I don't know that they would share what they were thinking. There's some plausible things. It's like what they did with me was they had me stripped butt naked, and then had me walk out into a field that was a couple of miles from nowhere, and I think maybe the thought process is that I'd be too dumb, cold, and ashamed to seek help all that quick. But as soon as my car left my hearing range and I was sure they weren't going to double back and check on me, I was making a beeline for the first artificial light I could see over on the horizon. And it happened to be a little farmhouse. So I would say within an hour, I was barefoot and I didn't want to go back to the road because I was afraid they would patrol that. So I walked in so the road wouldn't be able to see me all that well, and then walked to that house. And I guess it was quick enough. By the time they made it back to downtown, that's when the APB went out on my car. And
they caught him pretty quickly after.
Real quick, yeah. They engaged because they passed a cop wearing their ski masks still at 2 in the morning, or 1 in the morning, or whatever it was. Yeah, stupid.
So they wore the ski masks all the time they were with you?
Mm-hmm.
So how'd you ID them? By their voice?
That's a crazy, crazy story. I've told this story before, and it's kind of like a criminal justice behind the scenes. So the night that I was taken back to the sheriff's office, or the police station there, a guy came in who was on the Magic Squad, multi-authority gang enforcement cohort, or something like that, right? It's like cops, sheriffs, FBI, CIA guys that, and there's a big presence of it in Fresno because there's a lot of gang problems in Fresno, right? And these dudes were presumed gang members, and the squad that they sent after him were Magic. So this dude comes in, I'll never forget him. He's huge, brick of a dude, and his name was McKnight, Officer McKnight. And he comes in and he goes, "You're very lucky, son." And I was like, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Usually, you know, in these cases where these kind of gang member guys will take somebody, it's usually not to let them go." And I think he told me that to make me feel better about it, but it haunted me ever since, because it's like, well...
That's true.
But at that point, he told me, are you willing to walk over and identify the gentleman? And I told him, well, they were wearing ski masks, sir. And he said, "Are you willing to walk over and identify the gentleman? It would really be helpful." He said, you know, "I'll take you over, you look at him." And so I have no fucking clue, to be honest with you.
Did they just have them on the lineup, or did they have some fake ones?
They took me. They had them there in the medical bay at the police station because the dogs chewed them both up. Because they dumped my car at Avenue 12 on 99 heading towards Madera. Got out, jumped out of it, and the canines got them. So they took me. The McKnight went in first, and I heard him say, you look straight ahead. You don't even look over here." And then he said, "Come on in." I walked in, and there was a black kid sitting there with his leg all tore up, bandages and blood, looking straight ahead at McKnight. And McKnight looked at me, and I went, and he goes, "Okay," and walked me to the next room, showed me another black kid sitting there chewed up. The way he explained it to me before was, we're looking for height and build, skin color, the things that you did see. I said, "Okay, I can do that." So boop, boop. Then the next step of it was at trial. So I was given a public victims advocate at the arraignment. That's the only, I didn't have to testify at their trial because I was a minor. But I did have to testify at their arraignment. Somebody had to go, right? And so I told my lawyer, I showed up with Mom. She was a nervous wreck, you know. And this lawyer meets me out in front of the courtroom and goes, "Okay, here's how it's going to go. You're going to go in. I'm going to ask you, do you know that the gentleman that had the gun is in the courtroom today?" You're going to say yes. I'm going to say, "Can you point him out?" You're going to point at the defendant. And I said, wait. How do I know that this is the dude that had the gun? And I swear to God, I'm 16. The lawyer looked at me and he was like, "This is the one that had the gun." So you say, "Yes, sir, there he is." They're going to cross-examine you. If you don't know, you say, "I don't know." Yes or no answers. I will interject if they abuse you or anything. You know, he was very curt. I went in, and that's exactly how it went. So I have no fucking clue. Am I 100% sure that the dudes he pointed out at the police station are the dudes that actually gaffled me up? No, I just saw 2 black kids.
They gotta have the gun. They gotta have
They did.
fingerprints all over the car.
They did.
So they had.
But I mean,
and the bite marks.
yeah.
What were they doing in the car?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was pretty dead price. But yeah, it sounds a little bit like union work.
Yeah.
So they kind of told you how it was going to go before you even got up there. So that put you at ease. You knew what to do, and you just
It put
did
me
it.
at ease in one way, but it always lived in the back of my mind in another
Might
way.
have been the wrong black
Well,
guy.
the kid that got the gun charge, that's bigger than the kid that was driving.
You weren't able to differentiate.
Well, I mean, I that's what I told my lawyer. I said, I don't know for a fact that this guy that we're going in for this arraignment is the one that had the gun.
They didn't do a confession. They didn't.
They turned on each other.
Oh.
He had the gun. No, he had the gun. No, he had the gun.
Well, then fingerprints would have nailed that down, right? On the gun.
What if they both handled the gun?
Yeah.
Then they both had the gun. You know, that's the way I've kind of justified it, but I don't know.
Do you know how much time they got?
One was a juvenile, and he was held until he was 21. And as far as I know, released at that point. Another one got 25 years because he had violent priors. And he was
no longer
17. So he was tried as an adult.
Did you feel safer after they were incarcerated?
I didn't feel in danger from them. That's something that people assume. I was never worried that those dudes, maybe I was like for a couple of days after, you know, oh, what if they get out? What if they come get me? Because they did threaten me pretty bad. Looked at my driver's license, read off mom's address off of it, and was like, we're going to go check that out. You fucking get out of line, you know. You're lucky it'll just be you, but we know where you're at. It's like, fuck, bro. So I was a little worried for a little while, but it wasn't something that stuck with me. It wasn't like, oh, I'm worried these dudes are going to get out and come get me.
Yeah, because it was kind of random. It wasn't like they hunted you down. Or, yeah. I guess. Yeah. No, I'm really sorry that happened to you, PJ.
Well, no, me. And it is what it is, man. You didn't have nothing to do with it. And no culpability on your front. You did everything you could to put us in a safe neighborhood and to keep your eyes on us. It wasn't like it was weird for me to go sit in my car and listen to tunes. That's what I was doing. Smoking a cigarette, listen to tunes. I'm gonna go get a drink. You want something to? Want to get you some soda or something?
Yeah, I'll come get it.
Okay. Tippity tap. You want to come outside to eat? Come on. Come to me. Come on. To the locomotion. Yeah, this is gonna have a little battery will play out eventually. Does Dinor like Grandpa? No, Dinor loves Grandpa. Dinor is going to probably try and sneak into Grandpa's bag and fly home with him tomorrow, I think.
Oh, I would let him. Good dog.
Everybody that gets to spend any significant amount of time with Dinor is in love with him. The guys, because they lived with him for a year or two, they love him. TJ's wife Chelsea loves him. Taylor. Everybody loves Dinor. Dirty Dusty D. Dirty Dusty D from the salty, salty sea. A Chinese Texas dog he be. I sang as a little sea shanty there.
Not salty.
A little bit salty. Trust me. Remember when you were trying to move him to buckle your belt? That's the salt. It's like, hey, man, don't be pushing on me. Don't be moving me. Does Dinor show signs of missing people when they leave? Yeah, here's the thing with Dinor. Dinor is a magnet for love and attention. And so, my dad is super, super dog person. And so he's getting the same kind of love and attention that he's used to. And so he's just buddied up. And I'm sure he'll have a couple of days where he's a little irascible about Peepaw being gone. But, Dinor just needs love. He needs a person. I think as long as he's got one person, he's fine. It was just me and him for quite some time. And we were joined at the hip, buddies, best buds. Still to this day. We're salty at each other like a couple of best buds get. You know what I mean? Does your dad know the origin of the name Dinor? I just kind of told him that my girlfriend, my ex, named him, which is true. I don't know that he knows the whole meme behind it. There was an idiot on the Drunken Peasants named Jim Ass, and he was the super wealthy guy that would donate a lot of money and time and stuff, and we would bring him on the show. And he one time drew an absurd picture that looked like a toddler drew it of a dinosaur, and he mislabeled it Dinor. He forgot the S, and that became a meme. We sold t-shirts with the drawing on it, as dumb as that is. And my girlfriend at the time was all into the show, of course, wanted to name him after a meme on the show, and I had no say in it. So there you go. I think I would have named him like Oswald or like Wilbur, or like Vladimir. Yeah, I like Vladimir quite a bit. Yeah. Or Xi Jinping.
Pingy.
Drunken whale Jim Ass. Yeah, he really was, man. He was really a bastard, man. He was always razzmatazzing me. No, behind the scenes, Jim Ass was a kind of a character on the show. He was not a rich guy. Was not a donor of the show. He was just a friend of the show. Yeah. Sit on a chair.
Oh, new chair.
Brand new, just for you. Oh wow. You don't never get up in a chair by himself. You should be up in a chair more often, D. You get on a couch just fine. He'll never jump up in my recliner. And he never wants to get in a chair out here. But these are nice, though. These are perfect for you, honey. Most worthless politician of all time in your lifetime. Sleaziest, most scummy politician of your lifetime. You think it's Crooked Joe, Crooked Hillary, little Marco Rubio, Lion Ted Cruz?
I think Hillary would be way up there.
We agree.
This whole people dying and say they got Hillary.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Oh, I do. We on the same page right there. She is ruthless.
Like Epstein got Hillary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right, because I think Bill Clinton's name is all over that. I think more than just his name. I think his Willie was all over a lot of it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was a mess.
Rick Santorum, that's another good one. He's kind of a scumbag. Strom Thurmond, he was a literal KKK guy. Jim Ass passed away. No, as far as I know, Jim Ass was kicking. He lives. Who's the balding guy in the DNC that looked like Homer Simpson but was ripped? Oh, that was John Delaney. Remember, there were the few people that supported him called themselves Delaniacs. It was John Delaney. Yeah, a real bad one. The Democrats just can't get their shit together, man. We ain't had at least a good politician since Barack.
Who's the Democrat that had some brain damage and now he's a Republican?
Oh, yeah. John Smegmaman or whatever his name is. Yeah, that dude. Fetterwop.
There you go.
John Fettelop. Whatever his dumbass fucking ogre looking oafish name is. Dude had a fucking stroke and woke up an arch conservative.
He actually found some common sense.
Yeah.
And they ostracized him and keep shutting him down.
He found some common sense and then he had a stroke and became a conservative. I agree. You know what I'm talking about? No, I'm kidding. He just it's just a long line of, he ran as a lefty, but he's more of a blue dog. He's more of a Israel supporting corporate dem. Yeah.
How's supporting Israel
third rail? I'm telling you, IP is a third rail. We can get into it if you want.
Oh, no.
We can do it, but I'm just letting you know it's a third rail topic. Because I don't give a fuck, man. I'll tell you what I want over there. One state solution. The UN goes in, puts an interim government in place, right? Puts UN peacekeepers on the streets to keep Jews from killing Muslims and Muslims from killing Jews. Starts equalizing and writing a constitution that respects, like an American constitution does, respects a person's right to believe differently. The UN stays as long as, you remember Reconstruction after the Civil War, where we sent northern troops down south to stand on the corners and shoot KKK members and shit?
Wow.
That's what they were there for, to stop that shit from happening. Now, we stopped doing Reconstruction before the job was finished. There was like the compromise or whatever it was, the 1868 or whatever it was, compromise. But, yeah, no, that should have kept going. But anyway, we do that. Once those people are ready to have an interim government, like we're talking a coalition government, that works together, where there's a common Constitution and Bill of Rights, and generationally they've lost this bloodlust for one another, right? Then they can have a country, and we'll call it Israeli Palestine or Palestinian Israel or whatever it is, and it'll be a blended nation, and that'll be that. Because the bloodthirsty, we are a fucking ancient Bronze Age tribe, and we've got beef going all the way back to the times of Mohammed and before, and we're going to kill each other in the streets over it over and over and treat each other like dogs. It ain't working, and we've been funding it my whole life, probably your whole life too, funding it, right? And it's just money that goes down the toilet. There's never peace. There, all the babies that die in that shit over there, Jewish and Palestinian. And for what? Over a strip of land that nobody really wants. It's garbage land. So I say, if we're going to put billions of dollars into it, UN peacekeeping force, coalition government when they're ready, and then we turn them loose and let them have their own fate as a country. We set them up, they knock them down.
What do you think about Trump's idea of turning the Gaza's, the Palestinian claim
Into Gazisneyland?
into Dubai?
Right, it's Gazisneyland is what I've been calling it. And you know what, dude, if that's what ends up happening, it'll be better than it being a bombed out, war-torn shithole. I hope that Gazisneyland doesn't include crazy liquidation of the Palestinian people further than they've already been liquidated. So,
yeah, I don't know. The Middle East have been killing each other for long as we've had history, right?
yep. Magaza, yeah.
And there's a prime example over religion. More wars over religion. And you've got some really opposing types of religion over there.
Really opposing types of religion over here. There's Muslims, there's Hindus.
If wipe Palestinians off the map and let Israel take all that over, then it would be Iran or they're surrounded by people that hate them. It's just right now the Palestinians are fighting with them openly, but Iran's helping them.
The Palestinians ain't really fighting much
anymore. It's a never-ending story, right?
There's all of Palestine is a parking lot now. There's not a stick standing on top of another stick.
The pictures I've seen are pretty rough. You know?
It's out of control.
They didn't have much for building codes because some of them buildings just shattered.
Well, I mean, we're sending them laser-guided modern bombs. What building? You think this building's going to be standing if somebody drops one near it? This will blow right off its hinges too.
What do you think of getting the hostages back dead?
What do you, dude? What I don't know. This is the thing where it goes back and forth. You name an atrocity, I name an atrocity. What do you think about Palestinians shooting people at checkpoints where they told them they could go to get food and shelter during this? Or sorry, Israelis. Israelis say this is a check, or what do you think about Israelis telling them this is the exit corridor? Move towards this if you're not a Hamas fighter, and then slaughtering the people that show up. What do you think about that? You name an atrocity now, and we'll go back and forth. I'm just sick of it.
I've got a solution.
Get it.
Okay. At Columbia University, we got all these moron students that are protesting for Palestine.
Why are they morons?
Can we gather them up?
Why are they morons?
Send them over there. And instead of destroying our country, let them destroy the rest of what's left of Palestine.
What did the college kids destroy?
Most recently, the library at Columbia University.
Was Forrest Gump wrong to protest for the Vietnam War? Now, I'm asking.
You're practically going to a higher power.
Well, no, is it?
I mean, what kind of blasphemy is that?
I'm just asking. Is it wrong, especially for a college kid, to feel empathy for a people and to want to stop the war? That's what the protests were about. College campuses were like, we want a ceasefire now. End the slaughter, ceasefire now, end the,
Well, thank goodness there's a Middle East for college students to have protests about. And there's always a conflict over there that somebody can get on one side or the other.
That's true.
I like to see the gays for the Palestinians because they stone gays to death.
I don't know if that's...
There's a lot of stupidity going on.
Well, there's plenty of stones.
Turmoil over there. It's always going to be like that. And I'm all for not putting our boys over there and letting them get killed. That's what I like.
UN peacekeeping force, lock the whole place down, equalize land rights, equalize civil rights, give people the right to worship in these worship places that are contested. They get equal rights. People can come and worship as they please, right? We enforce that for a generation with UN peacekeeping force. If we're going to give them billions, no more bombs, no more jets, no more machine guns and tanks. I've seen what they do with those. They bulldoze. and they run over babies with them. There's videos of it, of them hitting children, hitting women and children with tanks, running over people in the street, indiscriminately blowing up apartment blocks. It's slaughter, just like the senseless on both sides, just like Vietnam was.
Yeah.
The only difference is no direct American involvement in this one. We're just indirectly facilitating one side to literally raffle stomp the other out into oblivion. And I'm sick of it. Because you know what's going to happen? At this point, the international community will come in once Israel's done, help them rebuild. The Palestinians will come back in. There'll be another terror attack. Israel will bulldoze it all again and make another layer of baby skulls.
That's why I say, what's the answer? Because obviously that's not it.
Why?
You're right.
Why?
That's exactly what would happen.
So why is my you never hear anybody talk about my answer? The international community has done UN peacekeeping forces before in Middle Eastern countries. We've sent the UN to enforce the peace.
Turmoil over there, then?
There's less turmoil than there was.
Have they been in Iran? Never.
Well, that would be an act of war.
Not so much Syria.
Iraq, Afghanistan, when the UN had a heavy presence in both of those places, there was more peace.
That was a waste.
There was a waste because there was no follow-through. If we had stayed long enough to establish an American-friendly democracy over there and waited long enough for the generation of people that were still stuck in that old tribal way of thinking to be overtaken by their children who wanted democracy and peace and access to Western markets, if we had done that and followed through, then we'd have a peaceful client state, at least, over there, instead of a hornet's nest of bullshit.
I think it would take generations and education and the people living there have lived that life of strife and fear and being oppressed for so long. It would take generations for that to turn around.
Yeah.
And the United States is not going to make that kind of. We're going to go in there and blow some things up and leave.
Yeah.
And it's just a waste of human life. But I don't know what the answer for the. I don't think anybody.
Would you
really
if my idea came out of Trump, where he was like, too much blood has been shed.
He has said that.
Okay, but it's time to unify them. The UN and the United States will go in. We will be a peacekeeping force. We will create a new country.
Like Dubai.
Well, it'll have to be a
prosperous.
Well, okay, Dad. Can I tell you?
Dubai is safe.
Can I tell you a little something about Dubai?
Police state.
Can I tell you a little something about Dubai?
Oil money.
You go outside of the main city of Dubai, and you know what you find? Slums. Do you know why? Because they import workers from all over the Middle East and work them like slaves and house them in little favelas on the outskirts of town, out of the view of the big, beautiful buildings. So there's a lot of poverty in those areas too, and a lot of human trafficking. So there's a pretty face on Dubai, but there's a real nasty underbelly to it. And if you got money and you're willing to go along with their shit, you don't drink, you don't cuss out in public, you can't do none of that. But you're willing to go over there and act how they tell you and submit to the police state, it's a pretty peaceful, fun thing to do, probably, I'd imagine, if you got money. If you don't, they don't want you over there.
Yeah. But they're not bombing anybody recently.
No.
They're not.
But they're a client state of Saudi Arabia, and we've got them armed to the teeth. They're in the sphere of influence of the Saudi empire, and we've got Saudi Arabia armed to the nines. Nuclear power. So, one of them things.
I honestly believe there will be strife in that part of the world well beyond our lifetime and several more generations.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the solution is. If it were easy, I think it would already be done.
The UAE is helping to fund the Sudanese civil war. Of course they are. Where do you think that money goes to, man?
And we're in... And I'm probably way too cynical about it, but I do think the arms people here that are making huge profits on sending all those weapons over there I think not only to Israel but also to Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's
a shame.
a money making deal. There is no sincere, honest uh, look at it. It's too much influence, too much money to be had.
Yeah. I'm just sick of because I've seen this cycle happen. Something happens, Hamas fires some rockets, kills a few Israeli. This last one was real bad. But I'm just saying, some big kind of terror attack happens out of Palestine, right? Israel literally flattens it. They rebuild it, rehome everybody. Everything gets a little better for a little while. Then the checkpoints go up. Then it starts getting oppressive. Then the Palestinians fire rockets. Then Israel bulldozes it. And we funded every bit of that. Your tax money, your whole life.
Well, would the solution have been for them to be passive and for Palestinians
No.
to just destroy them?
The solution is for us to realize that these two sibling countries are going to keep fighting as long as we throw money down the black hole. And if we're going to throw money, let's throw money on a peacekeeping force, setting up a government for them and forcing them to learn how to live cheek by jowl like modern human beings do. Because they're fighting like two tribes that live on a different island that take canoes over and do raids on each other.
Multiple generations to turn that kind of thinking around.
Then I would rather if that, you know what,
influences that would overwhelm.
If they would have started when you were 15, we'd be a generation
I'm convinced
in.
They'd still be fighting. They'd still be killing each other.
They wouldn't be if there was a peacekeeping force there. There would be somebody there to bring them to justice and enforce the justice. And their children would have grown up in a regime where it's illegal to kill each other in war. There is no war. The wall would be torn. You know, it's like Berlin. There's a big fucking nasty wall. On one side of it, beautiful businesses and electricity and everything. On the other side of it, squalor and mud huts and no water because they turn that shit like a medieval siege. Israel will turn their water off, turn their electricity off. They can't be that way. Tear down the wall, build nice buildings over there too, put UN officers on every street corner, UN peacekeeping interim government, coalition government of the people when they're ready.
What if Israel went scorched earth, literally killed every last man, woman, and child?
You mean like a certain German?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
You mean like a certain German did?
That worked out pretty good.
What are we going to do with... Did it? He ended up shooting himself in a bunker with his beautiful city of Berlin in rubble. I don't think it worked out very good at all.
Well, he made a few mistakes.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like, yeah, we know what that is. That's extermination.
That apparently is their goal.
Whose goal?
You watch it over and over again. They just kill each other. And when it finally settles down, there's one more waiting in line then they take advantage, and it's going to be like that forever. It's in the nature of their very religion to exterminate the other one. I mean, it's fanatic belief. They're never going to get along.
Which is why Daddy needs to come in and grab the sticks and rockets out of both of their hands and go, listen, it's not 1720 anymore. You're not a warlord. You're not a warlord. In the new world, we live like civilized people. Here's what you do. Come on over here, Mr. Jewish guy. Come here, Mr. Palestinian guy. Put your hand out. Shake it. That's what you do. Now sit down. We're going to have a meal together and find out that we're more alike than we are different. And then once Daddy has been there for 2 generations, because we're already Daddy, we're just funding their tantrums. I want to fund them learning how to live cheek by jowl.
Literally thousands of years of religious belief.
Yeah, couple hundred years.
You think it's going to change because some peckerwood from the United States goes over there and makes them shake hands? It ain't going to happen.
Then cut off the money.
Ooh.
Cut off the money and let them figure it out.
That's interesting.
Cut off the money and let them figure it out then.
Yeah.
Quit throwing good money after bad.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, once the U.S. aid dries up, Israel's probably not going to be so fancy-free with the ammunition and bombs.
I think they would be overrun.
Probably so.
Quickly.
They've made no friends
And
over there.
Then Palestinians would have nobody else to fight with. They'd go looking for somebody else.
Wouldn't be our problem no more. Wouldn't be our problem no more.
Then why can it not be our problem now?
Because well, there's a couple of reasons for that. The state of Israel is necessary for Jesus Christ to return because he returns to the state of Israel and it's held by the chosen people.
The religion. Religious.
Anyway, my phone's about to die. We can keep talking about this, but I'm ending the stream.